There's a lady outside pushing her cat in a stroller. It's very cute. Okay. Friends, welcome back to Emily is Too Fond of Books, where we talk about books. And, I try to post at least twice a month. It is June 29th, so I'm cutting it kind of close for my twice a month thing. But, things happen. I want to try and post more, but for now, today, what we're doing is the mid-year book freakout tag for 2022. And I always love watching other people do this, but I've never gotten to do it until now. So I'm really excited. So, without further ado, let's get into some stats, because I love stats. Stats are as follows. Out of my goal of 61 books for 2022, I've read 47. I've read 14,667 pages out of my goal of 20,000 pages, and my top genre is LGBTQIA. And also my average rating for all 47 books so far is 4.0, which I think is really good. I've had a pretty good reading year so far. So let's get to the questions. My first question is best book you've read so far in 2022, and I have 3 answers to this because I don't follow rules. My first answer is, I have to hold it up and hold my phone at the same time, but it's Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Emede. I think that's how you said it. I wrote it out phonetically so that I would be able to say it. So I hope that I did it justice. If I didn't do it justice, I'm sorry. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But yeah, I loved this book. I haven't talked about this book on my channel before because I read it before I started BookTube. But I do have a review up on my Instagram. This book I have heard described, and I myself have described it as kind of a mix of Pretty Little Liars, Get Out, and there's some dark academia in here. But there's really more to it than meets the eye. It deals with really intense issues. There's intense racism in this book. So if you're sensitive to that, if you can't handle that, I maybe would exercise caution picking this up. But this book just delivered on every front. I could not believe, and talking about it is so hard for me because I just can't believe this was a debut. And I can't believe just how well executed everything about this was. And also, can we talk about this cover? I know it's not all about the cover, but this cover is art. I want to blow this cover up into a poster size and hang it up in my room. I just love this cover so much. And I love this book. I can see myself coming back to it. I mean, maybe not for a beach read, but definitely coming back to it and getting something different from it every time, because I think this is such an important book, and that everyone should read it if they can handle it. So I love Ace of Spades. The next pick that I have for my best book so far is Razorblade Tears, which I talked about in I think it was my quarter year crisis video. Yeah, my quarter year crisis video. I talked all about this, but to give you a recap, this is about a black man and a white man who each have a gay son, and the gay sons are married and in love until one day they're horribly murdered. And the fathers aren't accepting of their sons at all. But when they die, their one goal is to get vengeance against the people who killed them. And so they kind of have to band together and do this, and it kind of culminates in this incredibly violent but also very poignant and interesting and heartbreaking read. I think about this book every day, and it's just really powerful. It's extremely violent. Take care of yourself when, picking it up, because it is very violent and there are a lot of triggers. Um, but I really loved this, and this was one of the first books that I ever tabbed. So it holds a special place in my heart, for that reason. So I loved that book as well. And my third one is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I talked about this in my April wrap up, but I love this book. And I know it's so funny because, like, the first two are, like, really intense, like, thrillers, like, and then I have this. But this holds such a special place in my heart. Um, I talked all about it in my April wrap up, so I'm not going to rehash it. And also, if you've been on BookTube for like any amount of time, I mean, you know all about this book and you know all about Emily Henry. But I loved this book, and it made me cry, and it made me smile and laugh. And I think about this book all the time. It's just, anybody who knows me knows that I'm the number one People We Meet on Vacation stan. Like, I know that it's not a perfect book. It was just the perfect book for me at the time that I read it, and so I love it. I'm gonna reread it every year probably. I love it. It's just I love it. So those are my three prize winners so far, this month, or not this month. This year. But I've given out other 5 stars too, but I wanted to really narrow it down. Otherwise, I mean, we'd be here for the rest of my life. So, yes, those are the best books so far. Next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2022. I don't have it on me, so I'll flash up a picture of it on the screen. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but it'll be there. But Heartstopper Volume 4 specifically. I struggled over which Heartstopper I was going to choose for this because I read all of them this year. And I finally settled on the fourth one. I want to tell you exactly why. So I took a little chunk of the review I wrote of it, and I'm going to read it. I don't have a single complaint. Everyone was saying that this volume is the darkest yet. And while it did deal with dark and difficult topics. I don't know if I think it was dark overall. I think that Volume 3 opened up the door for the difficult topics in Volume 4 to be explored, so that when they were introduced again in Volume 4, you wouldn't be caught off guard. I will say, though, that something that might be catching readers off guard is how much more realistic Nick and Charlie's relationship becomes over the course of this volume. We see them argue, which we didn't really see before. We see Nick struggle to know what is best for Charlie, and we see them both learn that love cannot cure a mental illness. So and like I said, I do think that's something that caught some people off guard, perhaps, when they were reading, this fluffy comic about, these two boys in love. But honestly, that's kind of what I loved about it. I loved seeing them argue. I loved seeing them deal with real problems. And so, yeah, that's why Heartstopper Volume 4 is my favorite. So, although Volume 3 is really good. Volume 4. And new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I narrowed this down to 5. I'm gonna kind of do like rapid fire and just kind of use the words that I think of when I think of these books based on what I know about them. So the first one is My Dearest Darkest by Kayla Cottingham, Dark Academia, Monsters, Sapphics, Horror. This is one of my most anticipated, and I'm so happy that I finally got my hands on it. So the second one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Books, enemies to lovers, sisterhood. And also this cover, and also Emily Henry in general just kind of owns me. So, Book of Night by Holly Black, Shadow Magic, Con Artists, Fantasy. I really want to get back into fantasy. Also, I love this cover so much. Tell Me Everything by Erica Krause. True crime, memoir, but also literary. And also the last one I don't own, So I'm gonna stick a picture up there. But it's Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Tirado. And what I think what I think it is Stranger Things vibes, sapphic, and horror. Awesome. So there are a lot more books that I want to read that are new releases, and I have a lot of them currently over there, but I had to narrow it down, even if five isn't exactly narrowed down, you know. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Easily, it's I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. Um, Courtney Summers is the author who wrote Sadie. I really liked Sadie, and I'm the Girl sounds even more interesting. I signed up for the pre order campaign where you get an art print by Jennifer Prince, like a nice sapphic art print, and a signed book plate and all that stuff, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not going to give you like a full synopsis, but I did take a little chunk from the Goodreads page to read. Um, I'm the Girl is a masterfully written, bold, and unflinching account of how one young woman feels in her body as she struggles to navigate a deadly and predatory power structure while asking readers one question: if this is the way the world is, do you accept it? And like that just really grabbed me, and so I'm really excited to read that. I think it comes out in September. um I'll fact check that, but I think it comes out in September. Next question is biggest disappointment. And boy, do I have answers. I have three answers, but my first is Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bastarica. I talked about this a lot in my wrap up for March, I believe. And I talked about it a little bit in my quarter year crisis book tag. So I'm not going to go into specifics here, but if you know me and if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know that me and that book are not friends. Um, so obviously I don't own it. I'm just going to pop it up in the corner. The next one is The Golden Couple by Sarah Pekanen and Greer Hendricks. I also talked about this book a while back. Oh, and I have thoughts, and they aren't happy thoughts, I'll tell you that much. So, I also talked about that, and if you want to hear me talk about in detail why I hated that book so much, you can check out my other videos or my Instagram, because I'm not going to rehash that right now. But the third one is actually a recent read, and if I talk about it now, that means I won't have to talk about it in my wrap up for June. So I'm really excited about that because I hated this book. It was called Sex or Ice Cream: Secrets of an Asexual, Asexuality in a Sexed Up World, a thought-provoking and comically quirky memoir by Ana Navarro. It was a short memoir, which, I'm glad that it was short. And there were spelling errors all over the place. There were words that were used incorrectly, and just like it was like no editing was done. And I got it on Kindle Unlimited, but I feel like even if you get something on Kindle Unlimited, it should have the bare minimum of editing. This did not. Also, this author is incredibly ableist. She talks about people with Down syndrome in a very derogatory way, very narrow-minded. She also talks about asexuality in like a completely... I'm not asexual, but I know that a lot of the stuff that she was talking about was just factually incorrect. And also, she treats asexual people as if they can only be cis. She's incredibly cis sexist throughout this whole book. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, but asexual people can be trans. And like, it was just very cis normative, not heteronormative, but very cis normative and it left a horrible taste in my mouth, and it was just a poorly written book, and I don't think anybody should read it. So yeah, those are my disappointments. Is what is my biggest surprise of 2022 so far? And if you know me, you know the answer. It's People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I talked about this a lot in my April wrap up, like I said, but my expectations were so low. I did not think I was gonna like this at all. It just seemed corny and dumb. And like, well, maybe it is a little bit corny and dumb. This particular brand of corniness and dumbness, I fell in love, and I was so surprised that I fell in love with it. But I'm so glad that I picked this up because it's, a new favorite. There's a lady outside, pushing her cat in a stroller. It's very cute. Okay. And is favorite new author, debut, or new to you? And I'm just going to rapid fire these. Emily Henry, Talia Hibbert, Janice Hallett, Farida Abike Mide, R. Eric Thomas, Megan Nolan, and S.A. Cosby. Newest fictional crush. Newest fictional crush. I think I would have to go with Chloe Brown from Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Everything about her is so cute to me. The way she makes her lists and the way she dresses, her glasses. I mean, like, look at her. She's so cute. I love her. I love Chloe Brown. I love Chloe Brown. If you don't love Chloe Brown, I don't know what to tell you. She's so cute. I have such a crush on her. Favorite video you've made this year? I think the video that I am the most proud of since that I've made since starting BookTube is my May wrap-up video. And honestly, I think the only reason why I'm so proud of it is because I finally learned how to put pictures on the screen. It makes me feel a little bit more, professional or whatever. And yeah, I'm really proud of myself for that. And I'm glad because I'm glad because I can do more stuff editing wise, but at the same time I also feel much more comfortable in front of the camera, which is great. And I think you can tell that I feel more comfortable every video that I post, especially in the last video, I think, or maybe the last two videos. So yeah, I was really proud of that and really proud of me. Question. Newest favorite character. I chose Chloe Green from I Kissed Shara Wheeler. I just feel like I have so much in common with this character. She's obsessed with Phantom of the Opera. She's, kind of like a useless gay trope. And she's just really funny, and I really enjoyed reading from her perspective. And yeah, she's just one of my favorites from this year so far. And also, of course, there's Chloe Brown. I love Chloe Brown. I would do anything for her. She's adorable. So yeah, I think those are my two favorites. Category is books that made you cry. People We Meet on Vacation. Ace of Spades. We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I'll talk more about this in my June wrap-up. Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour, which I'll also talk about more in my wrap-up. What else? Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman, which I already talked about. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Say what you want about Colleen Hoover. She got to me. What can I say? And This Time for Me by Alexandra Billings, which I also talked about in my May wrap-up, I believe. Yeah. So those all managed to grab more than a few tears for me. Category is books that made you happy. Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I know I keep talking about this one too, but this has the best chronic pain representation that I've ever seen in any book. The romance is perfect, and the character of Chloe is like I said, one of my favorites of this year. So this book made me so happy, and I loved it. I love it so much, and I'm really excited to read the other two Brown Sister books, which I'm definitely going to do this year. My other one on this list is obviously it's obviously People We Meet on Vacation. I already talked about it to death. We don't need to talk about it anymore, but it made me so happy. Okay, so the last one I want to talk about is just the whole Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. There are no words for the happiness and joy and community that I've found from those books. And I'll always be grateful for them. I love them. So my happy place books. This one was really, really, really tough, and I want you to know that I agonized over it for a really long time. But it's the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. And the answer to that question, my lovelies, is A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. I'm not crazy about the paperback necessarily, because I hate like when they cut off part of the cover in favor of the stupid flap. I hate that. I think that's stupid. But the cover in general, I mean, the artwork is okay. It says the cover artwork is by Bernardino May, and it's just this book is about a woman who is like a foodie, like food critic, and she's also a cannibal. And there's also like, a lot of just like beautiful writing in it, according to Jan Agaton, who is one of my favorite people. And I feel like this cover just expresses what this book is, the essence of this book, or what I think this book is going to be, so well. And it's just so beautiful. And when I first got it, which was like just earlier, like last week, I just couldn't stop looking at it. And I'm just so excited to read this. I hope that the book is as beautiful as the cover, because it's like my most treasured new purchase. So yeah, A Certain Hunger. So the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I could answer this question for like 100 years, but then I wouldn't get any of the reading done that I need to get done. My ribbon is a little wonky, sorry. But anyway, I did manage to narrow it down to just the books that I got from Book of the Month this year, because I do like to keep current with reading them. I ideally would like to read them the month that I get them, but that doesn't always happen. So I've narrowed it down to the books that I currently have gotten from Book of the Month that I haven't read yet this year, if that makes sense. So the first one would be The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. It's a bodyguard romance, but the bodyguard is a woman protecting a guy, which I love. I don't have it yet because I don't have my box yet, but I'll pop a picture of it up there. The next one is You're Invited by Amanda Jayatisa. I also don't have that. So I don't remember what it's about, but it's a mystery thriller, I think, and it's set around a wedding, and that's really enough information for me. So another one I have is Things We Do in the Dark, which I think is a Hollywood, like, rich people thriller, murder mystery. And I think there are dual timelines, so I'm excited about that. And the last one is, or no, it's not the last one, sorry. I have Book of Night by Holly Black, which I talked about before, and Tell Me Everything by Erica Krauss, which I also talked about before. So those are the ones that I definitely need to read by the end of the year. That's gonna be it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, this chaotic video. If you did this tag and I haven't seen it yet, send it to me, because I love watching people do this tag. Also, if you want to, you can hit that like button. It really helps me out. And if you are the nicest person in the world, you could also subscribe, maybe. I don't know. So What else? Oh, talk to me in the comments. I love talking to people in the comments. And yeah, I hope to see you again very, very soon with my June wrap up. It was a good month, guys. Get ready. Okay, bye. Why did I just start recording and I didn't even say anything? I was just like, oh, mm-mm.